we're telling the AACA give us 10 years before we do it. Then we'll all be in the nursing home.
Years.
You guys quiet down nicely. First of all, we want to thank everybody here involved. We want to thank the spectators for coming out and seeing these great cars. We especially want to thank the 19 car owners that came here under considerable expense, time, and effort to bring their fabulous automobiles to us. This was probably the best group of cars we've ever had for the Zenith. Can't hear me in the back. I'll tell you what, if you can't hear me on the back, I'll go up there and yell. We're going to find out if I got as big a mouth as Cox says I do. Is this any better? Yeah. All right. I'll tell you what, this is a great crowd. They fix all the problems. So again, I'll just say, again, we thank all the spectators. We thank the car owners. The effort they put into these cars. Every single, we could have just switched all the awards around. Every single car here is a winner, and that's why everybody's coming away with a very nice award. This was a very, very difficult process because these cars were so close and so great, and what a super variety of cars we have in AACA. So we congratulate you all. We appreciate you all. This has been a great experience for us. The judges are beat, they're tired, they want to be fed now. I don't know why, but again, we thank you. This is a great representation of what AACA is all about in our restoration program. And I want to make a comment, something we talked about here. The number of cars in this show that the owners had a major hand in restoring is pretty significant. And so when people say you can't restore, thank you, Mary. Start over. No, they've heard enough from me. When people say that you can't compete with professional restorers, this whole competition proves that's not true. There's some people here that competed with we've got some great restorers here and some great cars that were restored by professional restorers, but some of you have done a fabulous job in your home shop. So kudos to everyone, kudos to the wonderful restorers that we have in this hobby, and kudos to our members, and we'll get on with the awards. So we'll start off with announcing the people that were the Finalist Award winners. Our first award goes to a 1929 Buick Series 50 sedan from Dan Burkett in Cornell, Illinois. And if Dan, you come up here, our President Fred Trusty will give you an award. That's right, because we got more people here. So let me do a quick introduction of this esteemed team here. I thought they needed no introduction. Our Presidente, the President of AACA, Fred Trusty. Richard Lentmello, who really needs no introduction, editor of Crankshaft Magazine on the AACA board. Mr. Terry Bond, past president of AACA, on our national awards team, and a senior national judge. Mr. John McCarthy, a senior master judge on our national awards team. And chairman of the Zenith. Mr. Tom Cox, who came up with the whole idea of the Zenith Award and a two-time national president and the national awards team. My good friend, Mr. Tim Ollendorf from Beach, Illinois. Tim owns Ollendorf's Restoration Shop. They've done a bunch of cars that have won at Pebble Beach, and a super restorer and a great friend. And last but not least, Mr. Robert Parrish, another past president of AACA. We got a lot of past presidents around here. And the senior master judge, and on our national awards team, Bob Parrish. My name is Jose Jimenez. I don't know if any of you remember that old joke. Anyway, Steve Moskowitz, and I'm just a guy here at AACA. So anyway, let's get on with the awards. Our next award goes to a 1930 Lincoln Model 179 5-passenger coupe from Sky Johnson, all the way from Prescott, Arizona. Folks, Sky, I don't think he wants me to mention this, but Sky's had some medical problems recently, didn't know if he could make it. He drove by himself all the way from Arizona. The next award goes to me. Oh, no. Our next award goes to a 1937 Nash Lafayette from the Nicole Bulgari collection in Allentown, Pennsylvania. If you haven't seen this Nash there, folks, you really should take a look at it. The Bulgari collection is all about restoring cars nobody else will restore. They will spend significant money restoring cars that are just your average driving American cars, and they really are saving a lot of history for us. Our next award goes to a 1954 Kaiser Darren with Ed and Rita Koch in Flemington, New Jersey.
This is the conscious second appearance here at the Zenith. They had a Nash Healy with, they must love green because it's the same color as the Nash Healy was. Thank you, folks. Another long distance car, a 1956 Studebaker Golden Hawk from Ron and Fran Bomberger in Lake Placid, Florida.
Thank you.
Thank you again. And a 1957 Ford Fairlane 500 Skyliner that's owned by Charles Musto. Charles is not with us, but his restorer is. And boy, I'm embarrassed because he's had several cars here at his restoration shop. Your name again?
Jared.
Jim. Jared. Their shop does incredible work. They've had two Studebakers here in the competition in the past. So 3 cars in the Zenith competition. That's quite an undertaking by a shop. Our next award goes to, I like to say something funny about these people, but I can't because they're dear friends. 58 Chevrolet Bel Air Impala from Ron and Sarah Jury from Kansas City, Missouri. Great couple, and Sarah did a nice job in cleaning underneath the car too. Next car, a pretty amazing, big car. I tell you, it had filled the trailer completely. A 64 Ford Galaxy 500 XL, Dale Faulkner, Walnut Grove, North Carolina. Probably one of the more popular cars here today for a lot of people, a car that you can't help but smile when you take a look at it. Super great car, fabulous restoration for 1964 Ampha car for Keith Mathewitz. Back in the day, Keith was with Old Cars Weekly, and they called it Old Cars Weekly.
This way.
Next on to a 1966 Ford Mustang, Ray Brownfield from Naperville, Illinois. I hope you guys have talked to some of these owners. All these cars have great stories to them, and Ray certainly has a great story with his. The next car is our least excitable couple in the whole building. They weren't really very thrilled when they got the letter. They said, oh, I'm another trophy. 66 Pontiac GTO by Amy and Roger Scolari. And sort of the best dressed person here in the show. All the blues in the break on any minute now.
Amy, turn this way.
This way, Amy.
You ready? Ready.
67 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 396 from Sean and H.R. Terrell, Lynchburg, Virginia. Moving on to a 69 Pontiac GTO, Bill and Rosemary from Marietta, Georgia. I'm sorry we spelled your name wrong in the program. Ooh, I'm sorry about that. Not sure it was hers. We got Bill right. Bill was easy.
That's the main part.
Another car that I'd like to take down the highway, a 1969 Chevrolet Camaro 396, Bob Thompson, Columbus, Indiana.
No, you're too quick.
One of the more incredible cars here, and I think everybody would agree, it certainly was a crowd favorite. Love the car, don't think we'll ever see anything quite like it again in here. 1911 Thomas Flyer from David Peeler in Weddington, North Carolina. Here, 28 Ford AA panel truck, Bob Martino, Skippack, Pennsylvania.
Never been called paparazzi before.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it, folks. Let's go. We got a couple more awards to go. Again, I can't stress enough. I mean, if anybody walks away here that's a car owner, says, "Man, I didn't get it," guys, it was close. You really gave this group of judges a tough time. Everybody was talking about how their head hurts, and it was just so difficult because you guys have done such a great job. But in every competition, we had a job to do, and we came down to 2 finalists. The runner-up for this year's Zenith Award winner is the Model A of Sorrels from These folks have brought to AACA some of the rarest Model A's in the country, and I'm not quite a Model A guy, but what they brought is so unusual and took so much effort to bringing back a rare and unusual Model A. Something we all learned today, that Model A was not sold by Ford dealers, it was sold by Lincoln dealers. Something that, you've got a lot of guys with a lot of background in the car hobby, and this is all news to us, so and it was a pretty pricey car back in its day. The winner of this year's Zenith Award is not a huge surprise to a lot of people. I met these folks a long time ago at Amelia Island. I judged their car there, judged it subsequently. I've had personally a tough time. In fact, I've never been able to take a point off the car. It's just an amazing car from an amazing couple, the Hendricks Airliner. With that is the restoration shop, the managed restoration shop. Does wonderful, wonderful work. This is quite a team. And let me say something else about the Hendricks family. They take their restoration shop with them wherever they go. They totally support their shop, and they believe in their shop, and the shop is their friends. And it's quite heartwarming to see them at events, because they respect the people that did the work for them, and the people that did the work for them respect them, and all the level of research they did on that car. It's a phenomenal car. It was a phenomenal year. We can't wait to next year. Congratulations, everybody. Car owners, remember your cars tonight.
This is 1929 Ford Tahoe, and there's only about 20 of them left. There's about 1,500 of them built, and this is the latest one that came off the assembly. It was owned by the Steinways, and it got into the Steinway family by a gift. First, it was given to a woman for her Christmas present from her husband, but it was 1929, and she didn't want to be seen in the car because people were in bread lines, and so they took their car to their summer home And it happened to be that the Steinways lived right next door. And Fred Steinway washed the car, played with the car, drove the car, and when he turned 19, the neighbors gave it to him. And so it was in the Steinway family forever. Mr. Steinway had it restored, Fred, in 1963, and his son Rob had it restored in 2008. And we purchased it in 2017 and also had a body off restoration going on. Now I'm going to show you the inside. This is the driver compartment. It has a leather seat. There's all chrome fixtures in here, and it was different for Ford because they usually use nickel. And on the back seat, it's a very comfortable salon type vehicle, and this seat is as comfortable as sitting in your living room. But the advertisement for this car, the first line of it said, "This car is designed for the American woman." And so there's features of it that are very feminine. And it also has hassocks. You can see this trim along this line. This was used to close the door, but if the chauffeur was doing his job, she wouldn't have to close the door. These handles were painted so the woman wouldn't have to touch metal, raw metal. On the far side, I don't know if you can see it, but there's an ashtray and a cigarette lighter. Also, there's a switch to handle the light that's in the back. There's also a clock above the glass. This particular section of clock is curved. And then there's a slide in the center. On this side of the car, there was a little notebook in the ashtray. So she could send notes to the driver. I guess if she didn't want to speak to the help, that's what she did. So this car sold for about $1,400. It was sold at Lincoln dealerships, but it didn't do well. It was 1929. It was the middle of the Depression. So in 1929, cars weren't selling anywhere. As a matter of fact, as the country goes, cars sales in 1929 didn't recover until 1940 to the same level. So this car sold originally for $1,400. They cut the price to $1,200. They sold it in Lincoln dealerships, trying to make sure that it had a real high profile, but it still didn't go anywhere. And it was a tough time, and people didn't want to have chauffeur-driven limousines. But that's mostly the history of the car. In 1928, when they had it restored, they opened up the engine, and in the pan was filled with sand. And the restorer said, "What, Rob, what's the matter with it?" And he said, "Oh, we used it as a dune buggy." And so they cut a hole in the back where the window is. So the hole was about a foot wider than it is right now. This whole top comes off. There's a metal piece here, but this whole thing comes off. And so from here up, it's open, just like any other town car. It's called the Baby Lincoln because the car is exactly like a 1929 Lincoln Town Car, except it's 6 feet shorter in the front. So that's about the history of the car, and we're very proud to own it, and we're very proud to be the runner-up of the class of 2023 Zenith Awards.
I would think so.
Yes. Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you very much. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have a good show.
1935 SS1 Airlines Saloon, made by SS Cars Limited. There's 16 left, 624 originally built. It's all matching numbers, original color combination, and all Whitworth components throughout the car, nuts, bolts, and screws. A 25-year restoration, and it took intense restoration time, was about 7 years. We did work in England before we brought it here. We brought it in Gloucester, England, and when we started looking for one of these, it was over 30 years ago. We found this one 28 years ago, and it took us a year plus to convince him to sell it to us. And then this was the 7th car on the register. and now there's 16. Okay. What else would you like to know? Interior? So
yes.
The engine is a 2663 cc inline 6 side valve engine. It's got 2 RAG carburetors. It took us 25 years to put this car together. It took us 8 years to find the carburetors. And we stripped the paint to find the original silver. We tore apart the old interior and found the original color of the interior. It was a special order, so the exterior color was special order: wheels, wings, and body. Each one was 2 pounds extra, and the interior was a special order, light blue, 2 pounds extra also. And originally the car would have cost $365, which translates to $2,500. It is the larger engine of the 2 that were offered. It's a 20 taxable horsepower, which is 70 brake horsepower, 4-speed transmission. The seats, I'll show those to you. Were made to coincide with the owner of the company's favorite office chair. So it takes the contour front and back, along with a center armrest in the back. On the back of each front seat is a tray table. So it's like being in an airplane. So you've got something that folds down and you can drink or eat or whatever you want to do. So we stripped the paint to find this silver, and then we buffed it up, matched it. That's how we got to all the color combination. It's got a full tool kit in the trunk, which is technically called the boot. It's got a sunroof. Sunroof opens from here to about here. Way ahead of its time. This was an Art Deco design, streamlining exercise, and it was meant to be low and fast and long. And that's what William Lines wanted to achieve, and I think he's done it in spades. So if you look at other cars of the same age in this room, you'll see this is at least a foot shorter. That's what he was trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.